Immersed robot.
Hello, welcome to Immersed Robot. So in this video I'm playing a little bit of No Man's Sky, the Echoes update, which just launched a couple of days ago. And the reason I'm playing this, even though I'm not in a PSVR2, is because a lot of people are playing it in the PSVR2. It's had an update where it now has dynamic foveated rendering utilised on the PlayStation VR2. And I'm a little bit jealous. I want a PlayStation VR2. I want to play this game with that. Now, at the moment, as you can probably see, I'm playing it in the DPVR E4 on PC. And I've been in this a few times since the update, actually, on the Quest 2 and also in this headset. And it's suffering from the same old problems. In fact, I'll probably say it's performing a little bit worse on the PC than it has done in the past, which is not great, honestly. So just because I would like to play this in a flawless way where you're not going to get any stutters, or I think I mentioned this on the latest Recentered podcast. It's really all about just getting consistent performance. It's about the level of consistency, which in this game is just impossible. Now, I'd even take PlayStation VR2, which runs in reprojection but maybe has a bit more consistency than the PC VR version does. I'm not sure, but because Rog says that although it generally sticks to sort of the 60 frames per second reprojected up to 120 hertz, it still gets the same frame drops, and that doesn't really surprise me just based on my experience with playing this on PC. It's almost impossible to get a completely flawless experience in this game, but I would love to achieve that one day. Having said that, I do think that the PSVR, from what I'm hearing from most people at least, is it does seem to perform more consistently on that platform than it does on the PC. Now I'm running at 72 hertz in the DPVR, so it's 72 frames per second, so there's no reprojection going on. I hope the footage is coming out okay, actually. I feel like it's not got any stabilisation or anything like that, so it might be a little bit jumpy, honestly, as I talk. So apologies for that if that's the case. Let's land somewhere anyway. So we've just landed and I'm getting sort of solid frame rate, 72 frames per second. There's no stuttering really at this point. There will be though. The problem is, this is what I was talking about the consistency of this game. It's just as I wander around here, it's really smooth actually. This is performing pretty good. Again, still native frame rates. Let me start FPS VR anyway, just so we can get some numbers on this. So there we go, FPS VR is now running, and we're running really high on the GPU memory, but we are running at generally 72 frames per second, pretty solid. And yeah, this is a nice experience anyway in this game, but as with always in this, you'll still get these stutters, these sharp spikes. I'm actually surprised. I've just moved to this planet, and previously on the other planet that I was on, so I've got snap turning on at the moment, but on the previous planet I was on, I was getting more inconsistent performance than this. There were a few drops there as we were wandering around, but the other side of this is, of course, the DPVR E4 doesn't have dynamic foveated rendering, and yet with the Pimax Crystal I can't use dynamic foveated rendering in this game either. And the reason I'm using the DPVR is just because it's a lower resolution headset. I'm running at 160% in Steam VR actually, and we're still generally able to get that 72 frames per second. And it's not a bad experience. It's just I'm running on pretty low settings in game. Pretty much just the lowest settings I can, apart from texture, resolution and base complexity. I'm not using any anti-aliasing. I don't like the way that looks in most headsets in this game. So yeah, there is a little bit of shimmering and stuff like that. It's not the highest resolution, and of course coming from the Pimax Crystal, I might be a bit more susceptible to just how low resolution it is, but it's not. It's sharp, and I'm not saying that it's bad by any means. It's certainly, the last time I played on PSVR, the original PSVR in No Man's Sky, that was a complete blurry mess. And from what I saw from most people, before the update, on PSVR2 it was a blurry mess as well. But now it's got dynamic foveated rendering. People are actually comparing it to Red Matter 2, which is, it has been claimed to be like really, really high resolution, really sharp. It utilises dynamic foveated rendering and super samples quite heavily as well. And this one on the PSVR2 seems to do very close, if not the same as that. And I would love to experience that. So, I'm on the edge of picking up a PSVR2. I've spoke about this to death really on the podcast, how I just don't think that for me the content library is enough yet. It's not to say there's not loads of games on the PSVR2. I think there is a lot of games. But I just, if you've already got a PC like I have, a high-end PC and a Quest 2, the content library suddenly doesn't look quite so good for the PSVR2 because I've already played a lot of those games. And it's not that I wouldn't like to play a little bit of Red Matter 2 again and experience it on the PSVR2, but I just don't think I'd want to play through the whole thing again, but it would be interesting to see. Whereas if I can get a relatively flawless experience in No Man's Sky and it does look really sharp, I think that's pretty much enough for me to... Oh, where have I fallen down here? That's pretty much enough for me to want to pick a PSVR2 up. As well, I want to play other stuff as well, don't get me wrong, like Synapse. I want to play a bit of Synapse. And you can see just looking at the frame graph here, and I apologise, I can see it jumping as I'm talking, so apologies for the footage that is probably going to be recorded here. It's not going to be super smooth or anything like that. But the frame rate is jumping around quite a bit in certain sections. And actually, let's go back into the spaceship and just go into space, and you'll see when you're flying around on a planet's surface it does jump. You can't really analyse a PSVR2 to this level, so it might be jumping quite a lot for people on that as well, but it's just not quite as noticeable if you're not analysing all the numbers. But honestly, even when I'm not, you notice it, and it's always the same. You come out of the atmosphere and there we go, you get this massive drop on PC. Is that the same on PSVR2? I don't know. I would like to, if you know that, if that is the same thing, and even if it is, I don't think it's a massive problem. It's those kinds of small things are what would change the experience really. And even playing in reprojection on the PSVR2, as long as it was more consistent than playing on PC, then I think I'd be happy with it. Actually, what I'm showing here is pretty consistent generally. It's not actually that bad at the moment, and I have been tweaking settings a little bit over the past half hour or so before I started recording, and I've opted for 72 frames per second just to get that level of a little bit better performance and consistency. And it's not actually that bad. I probably shouldn't complain quite so much about the PC VR version anyway. But yeah, it's I just want a level of consistency in this game, and I don't think that what I'm playing now on the PC looks as sharp as what people are reporting on the PSVR2. It's difficult to know for sure, but because this is not blurry at all, it is sharp, but it's also got a lot of aliasing issues and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, this is me just sort of trying to get a bit of enjoyment out of No Man's Sky along with everybody else as they play on their PSVR2s. I shouldn't complain too much. It's absolutely fine, and maybe one day I will pick up a PSVR2. Maybe one day soon. I don't know. But yeah, I hope it is a great experience on PSVR2. I think people are calling it a system seller now, and I don't, although I think that's probably a bit, overstating it. I think it's also going to tempt some people as well, if it does look great and has consistent performance. But that's it for this one anyway. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.